this your headquarters? It's old and shabby, but feels very Syndican. It actually looks pretty cool. What's this? A model of the Drifter Camp? These look like buttons you can press.
This is a personal office. The model is the general operation panel for the Drifter Camp's major mechanisms. Don't touch it. Save us some trouble.
So, architect, did you build this whole Drifter Camp, including those mechanisms, secret passages, and that weird building?
I'd like to have a few words with Minos' chief, if everyone else could give us some privacy.
I won't leave, Chief.
You can summon your guard and let it stay here to protect Chief. I can't see it, and I don't mind being watched.
Your guys seem to mind, though.
My guys will leave too. Only I'll stay. You can take me as your hostage. Look at me. What threat can a body like this pose? You came to stop Mania, didn't you? Then time is not on your side.
What? Don't look at me like that! It wasn't me! I already had enough buns! Hekate, you haven't eaten anything, have you? Since this morning?
That's not important. It's Nightmare who fought in the battles. I didn't use too much energy.
Oh, fuck! What are you doing?
You've improved, boss. You didn't pull a long face till the end and knew to send for me to serve our guests.
Just some starving kids. Get them out of here quickly.
All right. You've seen it yourselves. He's a boring man. Don't waste time on him. Follow me, kiddos. There's some late-night snacks ready in the canteen. We've sent away those caped kids so they won't make a mess here. Don't worry about your friend. That girl may look like a twig, but I bet she can take out 10 Julians without breaking a sweat. Perhaps you can grab something for her too? You guys have some big fights waiting for you ahead. If you don't fuel up, how can you protect your loved ones?
No, Okay, if this is your wish. But Nightmare will stay. No one can hurt you.
I hope so too. But as you can see, I can't neglect the fact that you are with the Executive Committee. I must verify your stance. You've seen how far they can go to eradicate the Drifter camp. I'm sorry to have dragged you into this conflict, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Bad blood. He was just a traitor. Ask anyone in the camp for his backstory. You may not believe it if I tell you. And I don't want to talk about it either. And don't worry about your stance. Even in the committee, he was just a disposable pawn. A lapdog who resorted to betraying his home would never be significant. When it's over, someone will forge a report to help you get away with this. Did Burns have any motives when he dealt with the Legion? I thought all they needed was a decision. 1.5 months ago, when BR-004 precipitated hypercubes for the first time, the Executive Committee decided to wipe out the Drifter camp. Be it mania or a riot, they'll either fabricate a crime for us or force us to commit it. The result will be the same. I've got a question for those big shots. Why have they chosen to pick on a bunch of refugees who have already lost everything, but not those lawless thugs out there? Yes. Information about you is too ambiguous and unreliable. But you've indeed influenced Syndicate greatly. Your existence is too important. We must approach you ourselves and find out whose side you're on.
Shoot me.
You're right. He's naive and only wants to vent. He's far from an ideal candidate for the job. It was my mistake to have picked him. But those who are mature and reliable enough to deal with things have already died doing that in many different ways. All we have left are a bunch of angry kids and an architect who's been chosen to be a makeshift leader. It requires considerable capability to deal with things. But our opponent doesn't think we're qualified. People didn't gather here to fight. They only wanted a shelter, probably their last one. When the Drifter camp is threatened, some pick up their weapons in rage, but more have already lost the will to fight in the hardships they've been through. They could easily fall into panic. We are not the Legion. We don't have their strong fighters, let alone a leader like Zoya who can command a battle. I wouldn't have brought conflicts into the Drifter camp if I'd had a choice. I just never expected that Mania would creep in too. That's the only explanation I can give. You can send someone to confirm the results of the negotiations initiated by the Executive Committee 3 weeks ago. I can supply communication tools. But don't alert the committee, and don't let anyone in the camp know. I don't want any panic. You've helped us through the crisis and proven your distinct character. Now, back to the initial reason why I brought you here. Please go inside the Drifter camp, investigate the Mania contamination, and rid us of its threat. I'm willing to provide any information and assistance on this. I believe this is also what you need. The earliest suspicion came from the undercover executive officers who infiltrated the Drifter camp. At first, their main purpose was to spy for intel and scout the landscape. They were obviously preparing for a raid. In response, we tightened up our entry control and monitored and misled those spying executive officers. But there was an anomaly 10 days ago. The undercover officers suddenly mutated with Mania. Luckily, the person monitoring the officer reacted quickly, prevented a large-scale panic and the spreading of contamination. Rustfire members didn't reveal this to the inhabitants, but it caused quite a stir within the group. Many thought it was a vicious plot by the executive committee, that they had crossed the line and resorted to using Mania like those thugs did in the past. We don't know much about the invisible Mania you mentioned, and the power that triggers black rings. Have they really come here? Nothing. I just don't want that tragedy to repeat itself. I kept the scene where the executive officers mutated. The remaining contamination is hard to remove, but that also helped to preserve the scene. You can start your investigation from there. I'll send some people to assist you. Given my condition, I'll be wasting everyone's time if I'm there. I'll stay here to operate the mechanisms and back you up. She's not one of us. Only an occasional partner. Dudu goes to Romanesque often and is sensitive to death. She just happened to have discovered you. That sinner loves the Drifter camp, and naturally, she cares about your stance. Her conclusion matters greatly to me.
No need. I believe you now.
It's a life on thin ice here. If you ever choose to harm the Drifter camp, I'll do anything I can to end you. That will suffice. You don't need to trust or recognize me. And it doesn't matter if you choose not to forgive us. No matter which side you're on, if you're an honorable and kind person, you'll do what you should. Rustfire will never harm you. I wish you all the best.
I'm back! Here, open your mouths! These are offerings to the marvelous Hela. I'm kind enough to share them with you. The way I defeated that huge armor and saved the Drifter camp was too darn cool. The guys at the canteen were practically kneeling to me. I had my mouth full without paying a dime there. I'd never enjoyed this kind of privilege before. I fucking love this place.
Offerings are for the dead.
Shut your big mouth!